Here we are, episode 56. It was a time of great turmoil in the worlds, and it was the heart-centered nature of the imagination which wrought the new possibilities for humanity.
Yeah. That's interesting. I'm hardwired in, but I'm getting a connection is unstable. So we'll see how this all goes.
Yeah, you look a little pixelated to me from where I'm sitting, but hopefully the recording works well.
All right. I didn't have time to prepare for this afternoon's recording.
Yeah, well, you prepared enough. You said what we're talking about is love.
Yeah.
Something
What
we
is
all know
love?
immense things about, but really, when it comes down to talking about it, becomes a game of semantics, and people have like, how do we do it? Like, people are like, I want love. What the hell is that?
It is when you swallow.
That's not love. That's sexual gratification.
And the difference is
An important thing that we must all learn.
oh no, we're going into this.
Because love, if it's locked into the purely physical experience of sexual pleasure, it's going to be really one-dimensional and then limited. What happens when the penis doesn't work or something else? What happens to love then?
You have fingers, you have mouth and tongue,
Right.
all sorts of
Great. I love that.
appendages.
That's inventive. Love is inventive for
Yeah,
sure.
it's not one-dimensional,
Right.
multifaceted.
Well, I just think it's really hilarious that I'm talking about this higher concept, and you're immediately you go right to the lower chakra, and I get that.
I
That's who
think
you
it's
are.
funny that you think they don't have sex in heaven.
I didn't say that. You're putting words in my
You
mouth.
said that you're up here in this higher level, and I'm taking it to the low end of sex.
I just said lower chakra. I'm not saying they're not connected. I'm just saying that we're coming at it from two different ends of the spectrum, so to speak.
Meeting in the middle, as it were. Where's that? The heart chakra. Oh, and I
Bingo.
feel the
That's where I started the
love.
show. So I went high and you went low, and here we are. It's a game. Here we are. This is Moped Outlaws. Taste
Is
our
that
exhaust.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kiss our exhaust. I like that. We
Yeah.
got to make one of those shirts.
Yeah. By the way, I ordered some merchandise from our merchandise
Yeah.
purview, and I just can't wait to show you what I look like in extra large skin tight tights with our logo on it.
That is so damn funny. Oh my God, that is scary as hell.
I'm gonna look like the Michelin Man or the Pillsbury Doughboy.
You're gonna wear it at your concert up in Tahoe?
Maybe.
All right.
Depends on how bold I feel
I like it.
and
Go
how
bold,
tightly they
young man.
fit.
Go bold. Go
Yeah.
bold.
Right? I want people to be able to see my junk.
Well, they will if you wear those. And that's love. Man, I was like considering a different outlet for our swag. And then when that order hit, I was like, oh, well, maybe, like people are there to find out it was you. I was like,
Oh, I
dang
was
it.
just very disappointed.
Yep.
He thought that suddenly someone had become motivated to buy our swag.
Yes.
Yes.
Someone out in the world had caught their fancy, and nope, we're still two
guys looking
old
at ourselves
men
in the mirror.
wandering around in a circle.
Yeah.
What's
So how
that? Wish you were
were
here
the
then.
fireworks for you last week?
Well, Sid wasn't up for it.
Okay, so did you go or did you do anything?
I didn't. No, I came back home. I was kind of exhausted.
Yeah, me too.
And so I just got into bed after leaving him and listened to him.
Yeah.
That was
I
enough
didn't
for
hear him
me.
where I was. We couldn't
All
hear
right.
him here, but I was exhausted too. Teaching summer camp is very strenuous.
I believe it.
Yeah.
How many weeks do you have left? 2?
I don't know. 4.
This
Yeah,
is a
August 5th.
dangerous question considering what chakra I'm in. But do you love those children?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right on.
Yeah.
So someone can
I
take that as a
I've learned to love the
soundbite.
ones that test me
Yeah.
hard.
Hey, yeah, what about that one child that you said showed up and just was a hard no to everything?
Yeah.
Is it a he or she?
It was a he.
Is he still in that propensity to do that?
No. Well, no. And there was a precipitous thing that happened. There were 2 things that happened. One was middle of the week, his intensity kept building and building. And when we were out on in the outdoors having, what's called team time, which is often where we play games, there was a moment where his exuberance got the better of him and he just careened right into his brother and pushed him. Boom. And his brother went down hard on the AstroTurf and hit his head.
Ooh,
Right. And so that cascaded into a whole, like, as a side assistant, I have to do all this stuff when someone hits their head
right,
because
right.
it's such a dangerous thing and it's
Yeah.
so insidious, right? So that meant that I had to sit down with him. We called his parents because as to come get the brother. That meant he had to own up with the brother. The parents couldn't come, so his grandmother showed up, and she was old school, right? So she was like, I was explaining to her what happened, and then I'd had a conversation with him, and
She's like, so what?
well, wait.
He
Let me
looks
tell you the story.
fine.
Let me tell you the story. She was very concerned. Anyway, so I had a discussion with him and I said, "Look, I see how exuberant you got. I also saw how immediately you regretted it and you started to apologize as soon as you didn't intend to hurt your brother, right? And, you know, there was a lapse of emotional management there. And one of the tenets that we have in the social emotional learning tools is we have this recipe, and the E in recipe stands for emotional management. So I expressed to him that
What's
because
the
he
R stand for?
responsibility,
Retribution. Oh,
responsibility, and empathy is the next one. Collaboration,
wait, what's
initiative,
C?
collaboration,
Okay. Well, I thought you
initiative,
said,
and the E is for emotional management. There's 2 E's in recipe. Okay. Anyway, so I had the conversation with him. I
oh, you don't
expressed to
wanna
him.
talk about the letters, huh?
I do. I do want to talk
Okay.
about them, but I want to
Alright.
finish the story and
Okay.
whatever. I don't want this whole thing to be about how much I love the recipe, which I do.
I'm
Anyway,
siding with your sister.
yeah. I, I fart in your general direction. Is that better?
That's better.
Okay. Anyway,
Alright.
so I'm talking to grandma, explaining that, there's this thing that went down and that he's on his last, like, if he has problems the next day, he's going to get sent home and that's it for camp, no refund. Right. And she says, I understand. And she turns to him and she says, what do you say? And he's like, thank you. And she's all, no, you say, yes, sir. And I immediately knew like the level of intensity that this kid was dealing with at home. And I felt a lot of compassion for him. Right. The rest of the story is that one of the things that he's enrolled in with me is this computer learning for Minecraft coding. And so the way it was set up was we only had so many logins and we had enough computers and logins, but about half the class had to share. And he came in and he was one of the sharing ones, right? And it was tough. He was with a guy who's very, and I'm trying to manage them sharing by switching every 15 minutes and all that stuff. But it's hard to keep track of all that in the classroom, and people are interjecting, like 2 guys that are supposed to share, and one guy's going, well, you do it this way, and he just gets right on top of someone who's trying to think through their problem, right?
Mhm.
Anyway, so what I was able to do was request that night the additional logins I needed to give everyone their own computer. And the very next day, he got his own computer and he'd had the talking to, and he was committed to having a much better time of it. And turns out the guy's brilliant. Like the coding he did was far and above
He
everybody else
programmed a
in the class.
robot to kill his grandmother.
Well, in Minecraft, you can program the robot to do stuff, and I was teaching them how to build walls and how to build towers and things like that. Well, this guy figures out how to teach his freaking robot to build a pyramid. Like that's
Alright.
where he went with it. Like within 7 or 8 minutes, he was done with the assignment. He was
So he
like,
built the Jew.
"What?"
He built a Jew.
He Oh, I see what you mean. Well, that's one way to look at it. Psalm 137. Go look it up. I'm not going to explain it. Anyway, so the very next day after our first class, he's sitting during free time after snack, and he's got out his notebook and he's drawing things that he wants to build, and he's sitting there and he's totally chilled out, very like just relaxed and focused. So it was this incredible transformation from frustrated person who didn't have access to get the thing out that he wanted to get out to just like the best of all guys. So that was really great to witness, and it was brilliant to see him the rest of the week. I was sad to see him go on Friday when he went home. I don't think I'm going to have him back to camp, but it was really powerful to see how, he wore a leather jacket and he had a bad attitude, that really like on a rock and roll thing. And I remembered myself when I was a kid like that. And I thought of you too, G. Willikers, that maybe, that rebellious nature had something underneath it that was really powerful. And it turned out that way.
Yeah, and it makes you think like how often are those kids just stamped as problem child, sent to like a dead end situation, and don't have the environment to
To
experience their
thrive.
drive and genius. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it brought up that whole Pink Floyd The Wall thing, right? Like this idea that we push people through this fucking cheese grinder of who they're supposed to be, and the true brilliance that they have gets crushed in the process. And I was felt really good about being able to transcend that in the context of how I was providing access to education with this guy, and to see him just immediately go like, right?
So maybe love is patience and giving people space to go through their shadow of the moment to get to the deeper divine that's within.
Love is withholding the idea that you can actually figure out who someone is and then label and hold them in that limiting view. Love is realizing that people are bigger than we think they are, that they have more going on than what we want to like try to pigeonhole them into. Like the whole problem child thing.
My problem. I was listening to Riff Raff this morning
Yeah.
from If You Want Blood. I love that song. Such a good hype song.
Yeah, I
You're a
don't know speaking Greek. I have no idea what you're talking about.
what? Now I'm crying.
Who's Riff
By
Raff?
the rivers of AC/DC song, Riff Raff.
Okay.
And If You Want Blood is their live album they put out right between, I think it was right between Let There Be Rock and Highway to Hell.
And you
Maybe it
looked
was
up
right.
Psalm 137 because you just started to try and sing it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So you think Jews loved building pyramids?
No,
Why not?
because they were enslaved.
Oh. Yeah. Have you had a chance to ask Impu Kamut about that yet?
No, I
It's
did hear
coming.
his
It's week 4 or something.
yeah, he did his flyover
Oh, you
Wednesday.
did that, so you didn't get a chance to talk to him about it.
Well, I asked a question, but he didn't really hear my question.
Got it. Yeah. So you're still like resisting the idea that the whole
I'm not resisting it.
okay.
For me, and see, my question was about how can I give credence to what's written then, and not give the same like questioning, like the questioning of what written history is now in our, let's say, our 200-year span. We know it's jacked. We know it's shit. If you came to me with a history book from an elementary school and said, "Well, this is history," I'd be like, "Yeah, not really. It's not really history." So why give a different merit to something written? Like you telling me it's written, gives no merit to the fact.
Well, what it does is disable the idea that there is a fact to know yet.
Absolutely, and that I completely appreciate. The nuances of the narrative I heard on Wednesday totally appreciate a whole new stories being introduced. And I would say 9 out of 10 times you follow that trail and yeah, you find out like there's a lot of reality to it. However, to say this is it, the absolute truth, I'm like, well, why don't you get in line with all the other absolute truthers?
Yeah. The absolute truth. You know what? Is love an absolute truth?
It is. And I absolutely have no idea what that means.
I love it. So the absolute truth of love. It
Let me give
seems
you I have a prime example if you're willing.
oh, absolutely, I'm willing.
Okay, listen to yours. No, I'm just teasing. That was a great story about little Johnny and his leather coat.
And
All right. There's a woman I dated in my
just
20s.
stop, right? Stop right now. Go ahead.
Okay. Stop right there. I gotta know right now.
Yeah.
If we go any further, do you love me? Do you love me forever? Will you need me? Will you never leave me? Will you take me to that? Do you know that song? Of course you do.
Yeah, of course I know that song.
My sister's gonna see Bat Out of Hell, the musical in Las Vegas. My sister and brother-in-law, Leah and Tim. Very
My
excited to hear
condolences.
how that is. Because one thing's for sure, the guy who made that music, he made dramatic music, you know? It is rich with drama. Anyway, should I go back to
What was
this
his
one?
real name? I mean, besides the
Not
you know.
Meatloaf, the other guy, the guy who wrote the songs.
Oh, who wrote the songs? Meatloaf just
Fucking
sang them.
shit, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Thank you. Now I
Really?
love you even more. For
'Cause did you ever see that movie? It was a total rock and roll trope movie, Something Fire, and there were 2 gangs. There was, like, the rockers and the oh, fuck.
I'm not drawing a conclusive awareness based on that
I
description.
love it. Like, a lot of people are like, no. Jim Steinman. Jim Steinman was the oh, it does say Meatloaf was a composer, but Jim Steinman was the main guy, and then, of course, Todd Rundgren produced it. The
Yeah,
people that
he's
played on that album were pretty damn amazing. But where let me see if I can find the name of this damn movie he was responsible for.
and it had rival gangs and it was about rock and roll. Was it 50s rock and roll or was it
Well, that
more
was sort of um
the premise? It was
yeah.
like 60s rockers versus 50s
Yeah,
rockers.
but now maybe he didn't do it. Wait a second. I might be out of my fuck. I always thought for all this
You're
time.
definitely out of your mind, but you might just be wrong about these facts again.
Yeah, I'm wrong about these facts and out of my mind. Yeah, because it's interesting. He directed a Bonnie Tyler um music video and he produced a Barbara Streisand music video.
Interesting.
Yeah. Something Fire.
Something fire. Please, synapse fire.
Fucking Jesus. What is the movie
I will use a dental
about
implement on your
rock
eyeballs.
and roll gangs? I think like the 2 gangs were Streets of Fire. That's it.
Streets of Fire. Why?
Directed by Walter Hill and co-written by Hill and Larry Cross. Correct.
Wow.
Okay, so it wasn't Steinman who Streets of Fire. Do you know that movie?
No.
It got slammed a lot. I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
What was it about it that really turned you on? That really got to you?
The
Was it the way
the
they beat each other up?
music and the, like, stereotypical hero's journey, of, uh,
So were
you
there
know,
rival gangs of the like different styles of music, and one was wronger than the other?
a rock and roll fable. So let's see if we can get Streets of Fire. Um,
A synopsis?
yeah.
Awesome.
um,
Spelled U-M.
the Bombers, a biker gang from another part of town, and so there's the biker gang and the rock and roll gang,
Okay.
and this
There
guy
must be a
returns.
woman between them
Yep, there's a woman.
who she's liked by two of the members of each of these rival gangs, right? And
Yeah,
one of them dies in the end. And it's the wrong one.
you know what? It's been so long. I just remember liking it.
Yeah, cool. And was it like the look and the sound of the music track?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know how like Moulin Rouge has that kind of
Yeah.
over the top. Yeah, it kind of had that kind of thing going on.
The stylization, the realization of the production values was it had an aesthetic that really appealed to you. That I'm imagining that aesthetic right now as t-shirts and leather with long hair. Is that close?
50s hair. I don't even
50s hair.
remember the biker's gang.
Okay.
You know,
50s
like
hair,
kinda like a John Travolta Grease thing.
only with a more hard edge to it. Better
Yeah,
soundtrack
yeah.
and
Although
maybe some
Grease is a pretty
injected
solid
drugs.
soundtrack, you know? Grease is the word, is the word, is the word.
Yeah.
You're the one that
It's
I
got
want.
meaning.
Do, 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 do. You're the one that I want.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the one about the girl when they were, like, teasing her, like, calling her a goody good? Oh, shoot.
Olivia Neal and Bob.
Olivia Neal and Bop. Yeah, that's the name of that song. I had that daydream when I was a kid. Olivia Neal and Bop, please. And she sure did squeeze
That's
into those pants in a very fine way.
that's quite the menage a trois. Olivia Neal and Bob.
No, it was Bop, not Bob. Although I guess Bob works too.
Oh, that reminds me of this band that from Marin, the Tasmanian Devils, and their song
Yeah.
"Dirty Bop Party."
Oh, really? Dirty Bop Party?
Yeah, which is it's all about this. It's an allusion, ALULLU, to a kind of a sex party.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Man, they were like right on the verge. Them and The Edge, they were like everyone thought these bands are gonna go.
yeah,
They're gonna catch fire.
yeah.
And
It
they
just
did.
tells you how the music business is, man. It's like you can have lots of talent, lots of great songs, and then if you don't have the money for payola, it just doesn't work.
Or something. You don't hit the right guy. Or what about what's the other band like Monroe was in and they had that huge record contract?
Psychopunkapus.
Yeah, Psychofunkabus. That's a great album still, that first
Yeah,
album.
they were brilliant,
Yeah.
brilliant musicians, and they toured, and they
Yeah.
had record label backing, but they didn't catch fire.
No, and they went deep into debt.
Yes, yes.
That was that certainly was a allegory to the music industry and it raping and pillaging the youth of America.
Well, and you and I, it was one of the only bands we'd met up to that point that had actually broken through to that level,
Yeah.
right? And then DJ Burns was another group that we had access to personally, where we heard about the inner workings of the sundry music business of the 1980s and
Yeah, but
90s.
DJ Burns, like, his father was in the business, so
I
that
know it
didn't.
was just a different side of the story, yet it was still a failure.
Yes, but I think that's because drugs and partying were the main priority of that band.
Yeah. So on the one hand, we have all the exposure, all of the contacts, all the money, and we don't have substance in the music. And on the other hand, we have lots of substance in the music and lots of opportunity, but it didn't quite capture the imagination. They were a little bit ahead of their time. They were Primus before Primus.
Yeah, but so I think there's an element of getting kicked in the face numerous times and you still get up and keep going. You know, like I'm just thinking of how Kevin Hart had a movie contract and he thought, this is it. I'm finally fucking made it. And it got canceled. He had a TV thing that like was going to be the next big TV thing. And it got canceled. So like he thought, all right, finally the wave. And he's like, nope, I'm still doing these fucking clubs, you know?
And Dave Chappelle had the Dave Chappelle show, which was making millions for the people, but not for him, right?
Well,
And then he leaves on principle, not
when they
knowing what's going to happen. And 10 years go by, and like
12,
12 years, he's barely
12,
surviving. And now, finally, 30
yeah.
years later,
That's a little different though. Like he was making some money and then they offered him fucking big money and he walked away. Did you ever see that interview with him and David Letterman?
yeah,
That where he's like, "Would I have liked that $50 million right now?" Oh yeah, you betcha.
yeah, of course he would.
You're sitting over at this table and looking at that table going, "Fuck, what they're eating looks really good."
Yeah. But he had something very, very important, which is he
Well,
had his integrity.
yeah, and I think that served the world well in the long run. Like I think we are better served from who he is. That sounds a little prejudiced. I don't mean that. Oh no, Mark froze.
No, I'm here.
Okay, you froze for a second. Anyway, I do think that we are benefiting from who Dave Chappelle is than if he had sold out and took that.
Yeah, because it would have petered out and he would have probably died from a crack addiction or something stupid, you
Who
know?
knows? Who knows?
No. He's sort of a weird example. Like he's clearly says he's Muslim, but he smokes and drinks and swears and like that's such
Has
an
he said he's
interesting
Muslim?
dichotomy. Yeah.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Or I mean, he alludes to it, but it's like a Christian rocker who smokes and drinks and fucks, you know? It's like, well, okay, I identify as Christian, but my behaviors are a little bit south of that, you know? It's
Alice
like,
Cooper's Christian.
well, yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
And
so we love comedy, right?
most of the time.
Ah! What do you mean most of the time?
That was the
What
funniest
does
thing I
that
could think
even
of.
mean most of the time?
That was the funniest thing I could think of to say at the time.
All right. So what is how does that fit into love?
It releases the chemicals in our brain that have us feel joy and feel happiness, and then therefore we create a kind of a bond with the comedian. And
So
the
love is a release of endorphins.
that's part of it for sure. It's also a verb.
It is?
It's an action. Love. You love someone, right? It's not just a
So what are
state.
you doing when you love that person?
Well, that's what's such amazing thing about love is that it comes in so many different shapes and sizes and actions.
For that
Like,
grandma,
I could
you
be
yell at the
washing I
kid.
could be giving you a pedicure, and that's a form of love, right? I could be cooking you dinner. I could be thinking about you quietly as you are 1,000 miles away from me on a cold and stormy night.
Do you think when that grandmother reprimanded that kid, that was a act of love?
Well, I think if we ask the question from does she think it was versus does the kid think of it that way, that's a really great sort of point of demarcation of an analysis. I would think that she would call it tough love, and he would call it not love.
Well, I would agree with him because we just said that love creates joy. Like love is a release of endorphins. And I do believe that. I believe that the that love only brings joy. It doesn't bring sorrow, guilt, anything
I,
of that
I
nature.
disagree. I think it's the polarity, the range of experiences that are the result of love cross the gamut beyond joy. Love is the reason for sorrow. Love is just as much joy as and just as much sorrow. Like ask anyone who has had a lover cheat on them, right? It's both. It's the same continuum, but a different polarity. They say love and hate are closely related, right? It's that same emotion of attachment versus detachment. It's
See, and I I think that's just our human understanding of something that we're calling love, but that isn't really love. Like, I don't
okay.
think I think when my heart was broken when Liz left and started another relationship as part of her leaving, my heart didn't break from love. It broke from an ego attachment.
You're trying to parse things that are integrated, and so when you start breaking them out like that, as if they're separate, it sort of breaks down for me.
Okay.
Because you when we form attachments and we call them love, right? They come with emotional reactions, right? Like when you look across at Liz before that moment and you just see the concentration on her face as she's lovingly washing your child's, face before dinner. You can feel a tremendous sense of love for her, right?
Or when
And
I look across
attachment.
the playground and I see the
Right.
grandmother say, "You say yes, sir."
Right.
And I think, "Oh, that is beautiful." I'm gonna
Right.
cry.
Maybe depending on your upbringing, right? But if we just try not to kind of compare apples to dried up old prunes, um,
That was good. Douche.
so in your case with your ex-wife, I disagree. I think that it was heartbreak is the result of love and loss. Love and loss is heartbreak. But the beauty of love is that the heart mends.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and that we're way more resilient. Like in that moment of loss, it seems like we're lost forever, or that the thing that we quote have again, love isn't possession, is it? It's a
Right.
it's a kind of state of conditions. It's this magic bubble that's flying through the air, and maybe one day it's gonna pop. But for now, it's refracting this beautiful rainbow in the sunshine, right?
Um,
But it was no less love at the moment of disintegration than it was when it was,
felt like it was less.
but it wasn't. That was just your ego, like you said.
I was thinking about this time when my dad told my brother and I to work it out. He had this work social gathering happening at the house, and my brother and I were fighting. He's like, "You guys fucking work it out," and he wasn't happy with the way we were working it out. So he he dragged me outside and clocked me right upside the head. And
Wow.
yeah, and I can remember this has nothing to do with love. That's what I
Well,
can
he thought he
remember.
was loving you. He thought he was teaching you a lesson.
I don't think he did. See, that's the thing. I think
He was just mad at you for fucking up his time.
yeah, he was angry.
Yeah.
And I think I had a way of pushing my parents' anger lever as high as it would go.
Yeah, because you really wanted love from them.
Yeah.
That was what you
You
really
know, that
wanted.
I can
But
feel
you
sadness
didn't know how
now.
to get that. It wasn't you couldn't just ask for that. So you had to act out and get the opposite of it. I like Jimi Hendrix's take on it. You know, when the power of love trumps the love of power, we will have peace.
Yeah. What about his song, Axis, Bold as Love?
Right? That one too.
That's a
Right?
fucking great song.
Right? And then
Oh, bold as Axis.
yeah. And love
My
is a
yellow
song.
is what?
Love is a song.
Love is a band.
There's so many versions of love in songs,
Love is all you need.
right? That's right. But what is it? What is it? It's a four-letter word, damn it.
See, and I don't think it is a verb.
Okay. So you're saying you don't love me?
No, I'm saying I do love you, But let's say I send you a birthday card that came from love, but that the verb is sending a birthday card. Send.
Okay. But what is the thing that has you create the birthday card?
See, that's what I'm saying. Love, but the creation is still an act. Love,
Right.
I
It's a
don't think
verb.
is an act.
Well, then what's love making?
Oh, so we're back to my chakra.
I never said it wasn't mine. I just was saying we started at different polarities. See, I think it's both. I think it's a noun and a verb.
A
And I also think
particle and a wave.
yes, it's a paradox, a particle and a wave. And I think it's actually the fundamental energy wave that underpins the entire creation.
I was saying, okay, so I was pondering the overview of history that I heard Wednesday. And one of the things I heard was about the Native Americans, and people who were known to be here in the North Americas first.
The indigenous population of the Western Hemisphere?
Right. Like, so in there, I just was listening to a Native American, Charlie, I forget his name. He was a stand up comic, really good.
Yeah.
Anyway, and he was saying, like, in his lore, they appeared here, they didn't come from anywhere. And then I've heard that the people of New Zealand, the indigenous people there, the Aborigines, they also say that they were created there. That's where they came.
Okay, so we have an oral history that is telling us this concept that people arise out of a place in time.
Well, so I was thinking, like, the reason this came to mind is you were saying how you believe love is the element of creation from which all life is from.
Well, no,
Right? I'm
I'm more
paraphrasing.
accurately what I said is that it is everything. It is the foundational wave particle paradox. It's the
Love is
primal
everything.
energy of everything.
All right. So when you're angry, how is that love?
It's the polarity of joy. It's on
The
the love side.
polarity of joy.
Yeah. Anger and joy. They're the same thing, but they're different manifestations of the same thing.
So joy. So love, you're saying, is
If I didn't care, I wouldn't get angry.
touchy, touchy.
I just feel nothing. I'd be like, oh.
Right, right, right.
That's how I view
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
And I think even the non-responsiveness is like right now I'm holding up my hand, right? And the
Mhm.
blood flowing through my veins, all of the physical things. If you go down to the molecular level and then the atomic level, the things that are holding all of those motions and bodies together, that energy that it is underpins the structural aspect of it is love, in my view.
Do you know that you are loved?
I could probably count several people that I could say they love me. Yes.
So in this moment, you know through and through that you are loved.
Yes.
All right.
There's certain aspects of being neglected, but generally speaking, yes, I'm loved.
so so there's an asterisk to it, huh?
No, I'm just adding to the conversation.
Oh wow. You felt compelled to communicate that. You fell short a few times.
Well, one, as soon as I said it, you chuckled and it furthered the conversation, right? So that was my intent in bringing it up.
You didn't
Not so
want
much that I'm
silence on our
attached to the
podcast.
sort of negative story that might be part of that frame of reference, right? But I was just like, Well, there's parts of me that could be loved more. I would like it if they were loved more.
Well, so that's the thing, like, because if I know that I'm loved, I picture myself just happy and gleefully engaged with whatever I'm doing in life because I know I'm loved. And how could I be unhappy if I know I'm loved?
Yeah, that's a great point.
So I believe that from what I just said, I don't know I'm loved yet.
You're wrong.
Okay.
And I love you enough to tell you that.
Well, I appreciate that. But do you know what I mean? Like that, like you shared just moments ago, how there's that asterisk to the whole thing. And I
Well,
think
that
that
was your word. The asterisk was your word.
okay, there's a sphincter to the whole thing. Whatever word is going to work for you.
There's another dimension to it.
Oh, okay. We have now entered the dimension of doubt where
It's
we
not
know we're
doubt.
loved,
It's love.
but
It's a multi-dimensional thing. I was just saying
no,
the whole quantum field, all of it, it's all love.
no,
Yes.
no. I think doubt is not love.
So explain yourself, son.
Okay. So I believe that when I know I am loved, I am happy. And it's in me, it's alive in me. And if I am saying, yeah, but in any manner or form, that can only come from a doubt of being loved. That can only come from a belief that there was a moment, and in that moment, I was not loved because if I was loved, it wouldn't have happened that way.
So
When my dad punched me in the face, if he loved me, he wouldn't do that because you don't punch people in the face when you're loving them.
oh, you use the verbs tense of love, loving.
I'd like that stricken from the record, Your Honor.
So there's a bunch of things there. One, you can't have belief without doubt because they're the same. It's the same spectrum. Belief and doubt exist on the same spectrum. So either you know you loved or you don't. Because if you believe you're loved, you can doubt it as well.
Do you think it's possible for us to converse in terms that are not duality?
I'd love to.
Okay. So we can be in a state of joy, and that's it. That's all there is, a state of joy.
Well, I just said the whole universe is made of love. So, yes.
Okay. The end.
The beginning,
Exactly.
right? And in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you made. So, do you think Captain Kirk loved any of his girlfriends? Or were those just passing fancies?
Well, I think Captain Kirk adhered to the script given to him for that episode.
No, you're talking about the actor. I'm actually talking about the character that inhabits our dreams. That exists in
Yeah,
that.
you're talking about a fictional character. You might as well say, did Boba Fett like chocolate M&Ms? He loved them.
Well, we don't know because we don't have any experience with that.
Oh, I happen
Do
to
M
be.
and M's even exist in the Star Wars universe?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I sure hope not.
Why, you don't like M&Ms?
No, it's not that I don't like M and M's. I love M and
What do
M's.
you have against M&Ms? Oh, you
Well, they
just
make
wish them out
really
of the
bad
Star Wars
trailers in the
universe.
theater. I'll say that. The trailers they make are pretty bad. Like those
You know
M&M
what?
trailers.
Oh, really? I like them. I like that one where they're just mocking the whole adventure commercial.
I
Um,
love how this podcast can't go a single episode without mentioning some form of cinema or music.
yeah, well, we did that right in the beginning with Bat Out of Hell.
Well, yeah, but we just
And
it's our cultural reference is entertainment, I think.
yeah, well, yeah, yes, it is. Yeah, we love movies. We love music
Mhm.
and love. So what is that?
What is love?
Yeah.
It's never having to say you're sorry. Oops. I was supposed to pull out. I'm sorry.
Oh dear, that's nasty. What was the line in Terms of Endearment when she was in bed? Like, never have to say you're sorry is where she's dying of.
No, that's from
Spoiler
Love
alert.
Story. Yeah, that's from Love Story.
Yeah, yeah, but there's also a
Terms of
scene in
endearment?
Terms of Endearment where she's dying in bed, and there was a famous line. I can't remember what it is.
Well, I don't know myself. I can tell you that.
You have to say a spoiler alert for Love Story? I don't think so. She dies. Okay.
I don't think anyone who's listening to this podcast even knows what Love Story is, except maybe you and you and you and you. Raise your hand. Good. Now put your hands down. Shut up.
Wow, that's a fine way to treat our listener.
Yes, that's true. Yes. I should be a better example of love.
Oh, so you see?
I see. I see, said the blind man.
As he picked up his hammer and saw.
Yeah. My favorite thing right now is the Jason Mraz song, Love is Still the Answer. That's like,
I don't know that one.
yeah, it's a great video. You look that up on YouTube. And anytime I need to feel like that warm sensation in my chest, I just watch that video. It's like really hard not to, unless, you come in cynical and death metalish, then, like you're going to look at him and go, what?
Oh, you know me too well.
Well, I wasn't saying you specifically.
Oh, that's where I was going. You know the song "We Are the Road Crew"? I was
No.
thinking about this. I just spaced out their name. Who did the Ace of Spades? Lemmy was
Oh,
the
Motorhead.
Motorhead. They have this song "We Are the Road Crew," and it's brilliant. It's a fucking brilliant. And I thought, who else has written a song from the viewpoint of the road crew, like saying "We are the road crew"? Like no one. No one's given homage to the road crew.
Well, there is a Jackson Brown song.
Okay, I knew you were gonna say that. Fuck that. That is a shit. That's all about little whiny, lonely me up here on the stage while they're breaking down the fucking stage.
But
But
still
it's
about the
really
road crew.
about
But you're
me.
right, it's not nearly as honorific.
No, this fucking song, "We Are the Road Crew," is the road crew. It's not fucking whiny little Jackson Pooney Brown lonely on the stage. Oh,
Tell us how you really feel, Greg.
okay. I feel that Jackson Brown is a whiny little bitch standing in the valley with Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Bum, singing whiny little songs of California hippies while they're getting high and telling Senorita to clean the house. That's what I think.
Wow. And so our tale of woe begins. Little tiny senorita who's so unloved, to all alone, cleaning the toilets of rock stars and making their beds and
Yep.
cleaning up after their nights of debauchery,
Yep.
actually accidentally pinpricking her finger on their used heroin needles.
And passing away from AIDS 2 years later.
Oh, this has taken a sorrowful turn.
It's the 21st century little match girl. You know that Anderson fairy tale, Little Match Girl?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite
Why?
because
You
it's
identify with her?
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
So you're just selling little matches? That's how you see yourself?
No, I'm not selling matches. I'm barefoot in the snow. No one's buying matches. If I go home, dad's gonna beat me. So I light a match because I see through the window this feast, these people, this Christmas feast. I go huddle in this dark corner in an alley and I light a match to get warm. And I see this vision of, you know,
Christmas
roasted
feast.
goose and
Yeah.
yeah, and candles, and it's everyone's happy. And I'm about to take a bite and the match goes out. So I light another one. There's another vision. And then the last vision, the last match lit, my grandmother comes and smiles and hugs me warmly and takes me away. And the next morning, people find this little dead match girl frozen to death with a bunch of burnt matches. Merry Christmas.
That's love.
Merry fucking Christmas.
Oh Lord, no one is ever gonna listen to this podcast again after this.
They're gonna be, oh, this is the love podcast. Let's listen. This will be so enlightening.
We can see Mark starts out all highfalutin and super groovy, and Greg takes him right down into the basement, and they spend the rest of the time just ping-ponging back and forth, arguing like brothers who love each other.
We are the road crew. Another night, another beer, another night. Oh my God.
Keep a fire burning in your...
Is that the Jason Mraz song?
No, that's Jackson Browne, but it's not even the right song, right?
Yeah.
I can't even sing the one that I was thinking of, but yeah.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about where it's so won't you, he goes into it like he starts off with the song you're talking of.
Yeah, and then he goes into something to try and redeem that horrible song. He starts coughing some 50s.
Yeah.
Right, because he just wants to hang out for a little while longer. Because, when you're on the road as a rock star, it's like that 90 minutes or 2 hours that you get to perform. Like, that's the best part, because after that, it's just waiting around for the next show. It's boring time on the bus, hanging out with groupies, getting your dick sucked and drinking champagne and hanging out with people that admire you. It's really awful.
Really rough. That was my dream when I was a teenager.
In a way, I'm kind of glad we didn't get it because we got so much more.
Well, I don't know. Did we?
Yeah. Yeah. Look at us now.
Sad, lonely, broke old white men.
I'm not sad. I'm not lonely. And I'm not really that broke.
Oh, nice.
I'm sort of broke.
Hairstyle. What do you think of my hairstyle?
I had enough money to buy some swag. Let's put it that way. From Moped Outlaws. And you should too. By the way, the money I spent on myself, we're going to actually donate to our sponsor.
Yes.
Well, not our sponsor, but our charity contribution.
Finally, we're going to send them something.
Yeah. $14.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's better than nothing.
No, well,
it's setting a precedent.
Yeah. And this is the first of many.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
So what's the address? What's the web address if people want to go buy swag from us? Do you know?
They could go to mopedoutlaws.com.
And pick.
It says swag right there.
Bam. We're going to add some new designs sometime soon.
We are?
Yeah. Okay. We're going to design something for love. Moped Outlaw style.
The love series.
Just in time for Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Well, that gives us
about right 9 months, time, which is about just about amount of time to incubate something.
Yeah. When are you going to Tahoe?
The two shows are July 21st and July 22nd and July 23rd. On July 22nd, I'm appearing for free at the Kings Beach in North Tahoe. And then on July 23rd, from 3 to 6 p.m., I'll be appearing at North Star with my band Lumination. And if you want to hear what Lumination is like, just go to luminationmusic.com, LUMANATIONMUSICK.com. No, music with a C, not K. See what I did there?
Yeah.
But if you really want to have fun, go to YouTube and watch the Jason Mraz Love Is Still the Answer. It's way better than Lumination.